Number 10.5. Black arms trade. Illegal weapon traffickers deal from explosives, small guns, light weapons to heavy machine guns. Source countries are Austria, Belgium, Brazil, Canada, China, Germany, Italy, Russia, Switzerland, Turkey, United Kingdom, United States, India, North Korea, Pakistan. According to the Center for Defense Information, small arms and light weapons are classified as any weapons that can be carried by one or two people, mounted on a vehicle or transported by a pack animal. This includes machine guns and rocket-propelled grenades. Approximately 8 million arms are produced each year. And once produced, these weapons can last indefinitely. According to an estimate by the Small Arms Survey, there are about 900 million SALW in circulation globally. It is very difficult to guess the total size of the illegal arms trade market. The United States and Africa are considered as the countries with the most illicit weapons. An estimated value of illegal arms trafficking is around $300 million to $1 billion a year. At number 10, we have illicit crude oil trade. Illegal oil trading is a major problem in some countries, including those in Africa and Asia. It is estimated that more than 100,000 oil barrels are smuggled out each day from various parts of the world. In Mexico, oil companies lose $700 million annually when thieves tap into their oil pipelines. Every year, a large part of the oil is attacked by the Somalia pirates on the coast of Somalia. It is estimated that illegal oil makes more than $15 billion every year. Unrecorded oil sales coming out of Saudi Arabia, Russia, Nigeria, Angola, and Iraq are estimated to be about 500,000 barrels a day, or 183 million barrels a year, by using oil prices from the U.S. Energy Information Administration. Global Financial Integrity estimates that the average yearly value of illicit oil from 2003 to 2010 was $10.8 billion. There are two types of criminal groups which profit off of the sale of illicit oil. One is groups which are merely driven by the desire for profit. The other, more common type of group is driven, or at least it claims to be, by politics. They deal in illicit oil to finance armed rebellion and overcome what they consider to be economic marginalization. Number 9. Illicit wildlife trade. The three main markets for illicit wildlife trade are commercial production, exotic pets, and traditional medicine, particularly Chinese traditional medicine. The three main markets for illicit wildlife trade are commercial production, exotic pets, and traditional medicine, particularly Chinese traditional medicine. The illegal wildlife trade includes everything from exotic pets, meat and skins of wild animals, freshwater tortoise and turtles to monitor lizards and shark's fin. Between 2007 and 2012, the poaching of rhinos has increased to 5,000%. Some major examples of illegal wildlife trade are elephants for its teeth and lion and tigers for their skins. In 2015, the profit generated in this business was around $32 billion.
I gotta do it, man. Dude.
Number 8. Money laundering and shell companies. Money laundering is a process of transforming the profits from other illegal business to a legitimate asset. Money obtained from certain crimes, such as extortion, insider trading, drug trafficking, and illegal gambling, is dirty and needs to be cleaned to appear to have been derived from legal activities so that banks and other financial institutions will deal with it without suspicion. Money can be laundered by many methods that vary in complexity and sophistication. One of the many ways of doing that is to create shell companies. A shell company, though not illegal or without any sort of active business operation and physical assets, most of the times they are used to cover up illegal revenues from law enforcement. Number 7. IUU fishing. Illegal, unreported and unregulated fishing takes place when fishing vessels operate by violating laws for the fishery. One of the primary enablers of illicit fishing is the existence of states which allow vessels on their national registers without requiring these vessels to fully meet normally mandatory legal requirements, thereby allowing them to avoid licensing fees, taxes, and safety requirements. Most illegal fish caught off the coasts of developing nations are then transported to developed countries for sale. The two areas which are most greatly affected by illicit fishing are Sub-Saharan Africa and Southeast Asia. As per the FAO, illegal fishing causes loss of about $23 billion per year, with about 30% of illegal fishing across the world happening in Indonesia alone. Annual revenue from illicit trade is about $4.9 billion to $11.3 billion, and its destination countries are the European Union, Japan, the United States, China, and South Korea. Number 6. Illegal mining. All mining activities that happen without state permission, mining license, mineral transportation limit, and in the absence of land rights, come under illegal mining. Illegal natural resource extraction becomes pressing when global mineral prices are soaring. It can belong to a massive organized crime led by small criminals and mining syndicates. Or it can be a subsistence activity, as is the case with artisanal mining. The illicit gold trade is driven by market restrictions, such as the requirement of gold import licenses in India and the ease of diverting illicit gold into the legitimate market. The majority of money goes to rebel groups and crime syndicates. However, these groups most often own the gold mines, charge miners to work in them, and then extract a portion of the gold that is mined. The criminal groups then also handle transportation of the gold, reaping further benefits. The profits from the trade, as within most illegal markets, are distributed extremely unevenly. Gold miners make a small amount in wages, usually ranging from $5 to $30 a day. Annual revenue from gold is $2.3 billion. The illegal trade of precious stones has become increasingly well known among Westerners, particularly in the public eye as the trade of so-called blood diamonds, stones used by genocidal militias and factions to fuel armed conflicts. A 2000 UN report estimated that a fifth of untreated diamonds traded internationally have illicit origins. In order to combat the sale of conflict stones, a new certification process, known as the Kimberley Process Certification Scheme, has become common practice. This has likely reduced the sale of blood diamonds, but by no means has it come close to stopping illegal gemstones from countries like Ivory Coast, Sierra Leone, and Angola. While the exact profits in the market are difficult to pinpoint, it is apparent that the actual harvesters of the stones are exploited for their labor and realize a tiny fraction of the profits, while middlemen who traffic the stones to dealers in the West make the vast majority of the revenue. Annual revenue from diamonds and colored gemstones is $860 million. Number 5. Human trafficking. Human trafficking is the trade of humans for the aim of forced labor and illegal trades of organs, surrogacy, or forced marriages. It is one of the fastest growing illegal activities around the world. In 2010, human trafficking has an estimated international trade of over $30 billion. In case of child trafficking, more than 30% of trafficked people were less than 18-year-old. Roughly 2.5 million people are victims of human trafficking each year. This is roughly the population of Utah. There is an important difference between migrant smuggling and human trafficking. Migrant smuggling involves the consent of the individual and involves illegally crossing borders. Human trafficking is defined as the act of recruiting, transporting, transferring, harboring, or receiving persons for the purpose of exploitation by using or threatening force, coercion, abduction, fraud, deception, or abuse of power against them, or by giving or receiving payment or benefit to those who control them. A 2005 International Labor Organization report estimates that more than 2.5 million people are exploited as victims of human trafficking, 1.4 million sexually and 1.1 million in other economic forms. The ILO calculates human trafficking to be a $31.6 billion industry. However, with regards to labor and production, human trafficking damages both the country of origin and the destination. The country of origin loses production capacity, thereby taking away potential GDP in the destination country. Forced labor depresses wages and, in the case of child labor, reduces potential GDP in the future by restricting access to education. Number 4. Illegal logging. Illegal logging is the term given to the process where wood or timber is harvested, sold, and bought without the consent of the national or local government and in the clear violation of national laws. Illegality could also take place during transport. For example, illegal processing and export, avoidance of taxes, a fraudulent declaration to customs, and fraudulent certification. While the illegal trade of wildlife may be a significant burden on local ecosystems, that impact is nothing when compared to the unchecked destruction of forests wrought by the illicit timber trade. The industry, which focuses on the sale of lumber that was harvested in violation of local laws intended to keep forests intact. The Seneca Creek and Wood Resources International report calculates that between 5% and 10% of all timber-based global production comes from illegally harvested trees. The GFI report explains that most of the illegally harvested and sold timber in the world comes from Southeast Asia, the Congo Basin in Central Africa, and the rainforests of the Amazon. One report suggests that a good portion of products made with illicit timber end up in the United States and Europe. Number 3. Counterfeiting. Any produced replica of any product that is unauthorized is a part of counterfeiting. They are the dummy or copied versions of the real products. A counterfeit product includes clothes, shoes, electronic products, art and pirate software, and movies. It also includes fake company logos and brands. Interpol estimates counterfeiting, primarily of knockoff goods, causes a global commercial loss of $500 billion annually. However, As counterfeit goods cost less than the real thing, the amount made by counterfeit goods is much less than the loss they cause, although that number is harder to calculate. A 2009 report by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development estimates the amount generated by counterfeit goods to be $250 billion. China is the #1 producer of counterfeit goods. But there is also known substantial production in Taiwan, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, India, Russia and other former Soviet republics, as well as countries in Latin America and Africa. Most of the merchandise is produced in sweatshops. So the majority of profits, according to the OECD, go to mafias, triads and other criminal groups, which are spread around the world and commonly also deal in drugs, prostitution, human trafficking, money laundering, arms dealing and corruption. Number 2. Unethical hacking, cyber attack. There was a time when computer masterminds used to break into other systems to achieve their personal agenda just for fun and some social work. But all changed in the wake of the 21st century. Now hacking has become more like a business, where a team of professional hackers raid systems of big companies and make them hostage and demand for ransom, as reported in early October of 2013 by security blogger Brian Krebs. Adobe originally reported that hackers had stolen nearly 3 million encrypted customer credit card records, plus login data for an undetermined number of user accounts. Later that month, Adobe raised that estimate to include IDs and encrypted passwords for 38 million active users. Krebs reported that a file posted just days earlier appears to include more than 150 million username and hashed password pairs taken from Adobe. Weeks of research showed that the hack had also exposed customer names, IDs, passwords, and debit and credit card information, according to a report. Global cyber attacks in 2016 cost several companies over $450 billion, excluded millions of stolen documents and records. Number 1. Drug trafficking. Drug trafficking is one of the biggest and most dangerous illegal businesses in the world, according to a UN report. In 2003, the global illegal drug trade generated an estimated revenue of about $320 billion, and in 2016, the number jumped to an estimated $500 billion, based on FBI reports. During the 1990s, around 5% of the total U.S. citizens died annually because of illegal drugs, according to the 2010 United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes World Drug Report. Marijuana and amphetamines are typically produced and sold without crossing international borders. This leaves cocaine and opiates to make up the $300 billion a year international drug trade. The majority of both of these drugs are produced in developing nations. Almost all cocaine is produced in Colombia, Peru, and Bolivia. The UNODC estimates the global cocaine trade is worth $88 billion per year. Afghanistan produces roughly 75% of the world's opiates, with Mexico and Myanmar contributing most of the balance. The UN estimates the international drug trade to be worth $65 billion per year. Of the $35 billion in profits made from selling cocaine to Americans, only $500 million were realized by coca farmers, while dealers within the U.S. made more than $29 billion. Interesting fact. In 2009, Afghanistan produced nearly 7,000 tons of opium, well more than double its pre-war output.